guys, it's Pastor Brett with today's daily Bible reading. I don't know about you, but I can think back to college and sitting through a sociology class, and I learned some social theories about how religion comes about, right? I can remember the theories of Emil Durkheim, and he studied totems that represented gods in so many cultures. And really what he said is that the society found certain traits and behaviors and activities beneficial for the society to thrive. Eventually they came to see those things represented in animals, venerated those animals, and ultimately worshiped those animals, those images. And it sounds like far off. It sounds like, oh, that is so far from my experience of God. But Scripture actually, strangely enough, and probably to the surprise of Emil Durkheim, Scripture affirms the same thing. Romans 1 says that we have exchanged the glory of God for the images of animals, for the images after humankind. We go and we worship false things. John Calvin, the famous theologian, said it like this: the human heart is an idol factory. We are constantly seeking after something to worship, something to venerate, something to put first and seek after in our lives. And if it isn't the God of Scripture, it might be gods of our own construction. It might be the gods of sex, the gods of money, pleasure, power, the things we're looking at in this upcoming series called Counterfeit. And we called it Counterfeit for that very reason. We're constantly bombarded with other things, other properties, other ideas, other desires in our heart that would love to take the place of God. They would love to be our idol. We may not put them on a totem pole. We may not worship them in the traditional senses of having, statues of them or idols, little idols of them in our houses. But man, they do exist in our hearts like that. This is us. That brings us to today's reading. It's from Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 6, perhaps some of the most famous words in Scripture. I'm sure many of you memorized this as a part of the Ten Commandments. Let's read together. And God spoke these words: I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above or on earth below or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sins of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations to those who love me and keep my commandments. I just want to highlight 3 words in this passage that I think can help us as we wrestle with maybe some of those counterfeit gods in our own hearts. And the first one here is way back in verse 2, as God is speaking to the nation of Israel, he's reminding them that he is the God who took them, rescued them out of Egypt. You see, when God speaks to us, he doesn't speak out of a vacuum. He reminds us again and again of his faithfulness. Whenever God gives us a command, whenever God gives us some direction or guidance, he's again and again reminding us of his salvation, of his grace, of his provision. So he doesn't just come to these 10 commandments with these rules out of nowhere for Israel. He's reminding them of the kind of God he is, of his character, of his work, of the grace that he has shown them. And now he says, I want to ask you to live accordingly. The other word here is image, right? He says that you should have no other gods, and you shouldn't create anything in an image that you bow down and worship to. Our lives are full of image, right? Competing pictures of what is important in life, competing pictures of what we should be pursuing. Again, whether it's money, pleasure, power in this world. Each of those are represented in our culture, maybe with a different image that comes to your mind. You think about money and you think about like cash, right? The pictures and the portraits of the dead presidents and other founding fathers on our bills. We can pursue those images, can't we? We can bow down our knees and sometimes our whole lives in pursuit of those images. What's the image that comes to your mind when you think about pleasure or sex. There are images that we associate with power. Maybe you think of a hierarchy or an organizational flow chart, or just being able to get what your will is in your relationship with someone else, your will accomplished. What is that image for you as we think about the counterfeit gods of sex, money, and power? Whatever they are not the true God. They are not the God who's revealed himself to us in Scripture. And these false images, although they compete for our attention and our heart, we have to remind ourselves back in verse 2. No. He is the Lord our God. He is the one who has rescued us. The third word I want to highlight here, we have Egypt, we have image, and we have this strange thing. Maybe it sounds strange to our modern ears. In these final verses, God says, I am a jealous God. And we usually think about the word jealous in a negative connotation, right? He was a jealous boyfriend, or she was jealous of this thing that her friend had. And we think about it as being kind of a character flaw. That's not the same use here. That's not the way that Scripture uses this word. What God is really reminding us here is he is a God who wants what's best for us. That he cares deeply. And I think we see this played out in life, right? If we hate God, it says here, we're going to see that to the third and fourth generation, the consequences of that lifestyle. The consequences of a life that goes against God. It's going to not just affect you, the choices you make. It's going to affect your kids and your grandkids and the culture of your family. And God says, no. I am jealous for you. I want the best for you. I want instead to the 1000th generation to bless you and for you to know my love, my grace, and my provision. This is the true character of God. This is his heart for you. So, seek hope, seek meaning, seek purpose, seek even our sense of success and satisfaction from the God who knows you, who wants the best for you. And the God who is our rescuer, whether as we think back in ancient times from slavery in Egypt, or whether it's slavery to the sin and the false gods that compete for our heart's affection today. Seek your hope in him. Community, I hope that you can find a way to do that today as we seek God together. Hope you have a great day. God bless. Can't wait to connect with you this weekend as we kick off our brand new series, Counterfeit.